All right, you got some breaking news coming out of NASA, which has just announced plans to put astronauts back on the moon as the space agency awaits the launch of Artemis 2 that would take those astronauts around the moon. They announced plans for 3 more missions. Here is part of that announcement.
See, Artemis 2 will launch on its historic mission in the weeks ahead. Artemis 3 will have its opportunity, if we can, by mid-2027, which sets us up for an early 28 and a late 28 opportunity.
All right, let's bring in CBS News space contributor Chris Davenport. Chris, can you explain, are they moving the timeline up or back or just adding an additional mission? What's the overall takeaway here?
Yeah, so what they're doing is adding an additional mission, and Jared Isaacman wants NASA to have more practice in flying its rockets, flying the spacecraft, and operating the spacecraft, the lunar landers that are going to take the astronauts to the lunar surface before they go directly to the lunar surface. So the news here today is that in 2027, next year, they're going to do a test mission, flying in low Earth orbit, having the astronauts go from the Orion spacecraft and then dock with the lunar lander. And then in 2028, have the Artemis 4 mission land on the moon. And then also, and this is a really ambitious timeline, to have a second lunar landing also in 2028. And we'll see if they can pull that off.
So you spoke to the NASA administrator ahead of today's announcement. What did he tell you?
Yeah, so we got an exclusive chat with NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman, who walked us through all of these changes, all of these plans, as they're really now in a space race with China. And we can listen to what he had to say.
Look, we're trying to get back to the moon. We need to get back to the moon. We've been working at it for an incredibly long time. The issue is we're not launching rockets fast enough. So kind of our big announcement is we're going to get back to the basics. We're going to start launching rockets with frequency. We're going to get into a great cadence with SLS. So we will launch Artemis 2 in a matter of weeks. We will add a mission in 2027 where we're going to launch Orion into low Earth orbit, rendezvous with one or both of our landers. So you've got Blue Origin making a lander, you have SpaceX that's making a lander. We're going to rendezvous dock, use that as an opportunity to stress test the vehicle, make sure it's performing as we expect, maybe even do some tests of our EVA suit, the XEVA suit for the moon. And that will set us up for further success when we attempt a landing with up to 2 opportunities. We're preparing for 2 potential landing opportunities in 2028 for Artemis 4 and 5.
It seems to me, though, this is also about much more than just the SLS rocket. I mean, adding this other mission allows you to practice and maybe get better the way we did during the Apollo era. How much of that is a factor? And doesn't that also get to safety and making sure that by the time you're trying to land on the moon, you can do it safely?
You're 100% right. I mean, again, this is, you go back to the space program of the 1960s when we knew so little but achieved, again, the near impossible. And how'd we do it? We did it in an evolutionary way. Mercury, Gemini, Apollo. A lot of Apollo missions till 11, and we were launching almost every 3 months. And some of those programs we were launching almost every 2 months. So we know how to do this. We just need to rebuild the talent internally. And you're absolutely right. When you regain these core competencies and you start exercising your muscles, you don't let your skills do not atrophy, it's safer. And yes, you are buying down risk because you are able to test things in low Earth orbit before you need to get to the moon, which is exactly what we did during the Apollo era.
But what's different this time from the Apollo era is that the spacecraft that is going to ferry the astronauts down to the lunar surface is going to be owned and operated by either SpaceX or Blue Origin. And so what NASA is doing here, and what Jared Isaacman is saying, is they're creating a competition between Elon Musk's SpaceX and Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin to see who can get to the moon first. So there's a race there. And of course, the bigger picture here is that the United States, the government has said clearly that they are in a space race with China to get back to the moon first. NASA wants to do it by 2028. China said that they're trying to get there by 2030. And Jared Isaacman, all of the news today, is geared toward that goal and getting NASA back to the lunar surface as fast as possible, as safely as possible, but doing it before China.
2 questions. One, Were there safety concerns that led to this announcement? Because NASA's essentially saying that they need more practice, and so they don't want to stick with the old schedule. Number one. Number two, where do we stand with SpaceX and Blue Origin's ability to shuttle the astronauts to the lunar surface? Because I remember there were all these.
They were just going to orbit the moon or get close to the moon, right?
Well, but then the next mission, Artemis 3, I believe they're going to actually land on the moon. But there were issues with the lunar lander. At least I think that SpaceX was producing. So where does that technology stand? Because 2028 is around the corner.
Yeah, you're exactly right with both of those. They want to have a better familiarity with the spacecraft, and that'll only make it safer. The more they fly, the more they practice, it'll be safer. And that's what they did in Apollo. They didn't just fly around the moon and then on the next mission go land. They practiced with a whole bunch of missions leading up to it. And that's what they're talking about today, because, as you mentioned very astutely, is that they don't have a lot of experience with these particular rockets and spacecraft. SpaceX is going to use its Starship spacecraft, which has never flown people before. Blue Origin is going to use its Blue Moon lander. And while both these companies have accomplished a lot, Blue Origin, for example, has never flown people out of a suborbital space tourism flight. They haven't flown anyone to orbit, let alone get to the moon. So there's a lot of talk about, yes, the rocket has to get up to speed, but also, as you point out, these commercial lunar landers still have a long way to go and a lot to prove before they can safely and successfully fly people all the way to the moon and back.
So this is an aggressive timeline, Chris. We know that the launch has already been pushed back. There was an issue that I can't recall exactly what the issue was, that forced them to push back from the dates that we were looking at just in February and early March. So what's your feeling as to whether or not they can actually hit these milestones?
Well, you're exactly right. And the last time that the SLS rocket flew was about 3.5 years ago. So they don't have the practice. They don't have, as Jared Isaacman said to me in that interview, they don't have the muscle memory to fly it on a regular cadence. So they brought it out to the launch pad. They were hoping initially to launch in February. They had a leak of the hydrogen fuel. Then they tried again in March and had a problem with the helium leak. They've now rolled the SLS rocket all the way back to its assembly building to try to fix these problems, intend to roll it back out, and hope to launch in April and have no more problems. But we've seen it's a very fickle rocket. It's a very powerful rocket. It's a very capable rocket, but they just don't have a lot of experience flying it. The SLS has only flown one time before, and they need, as Jared Isaacman is saying, to fly it much more frequently to get better at doing it so they don't keep having these kinds of delays.
Well, I'm all for more practice. To quote every captain on every plane,
exactly.
Your safety is our top priority.
That's right. It's not a bad thing. Chris Davenport with the breaking news for us out of NASA.
And that big interview.
Yes,
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, really nice job. Thank you, Chris.